Hello again, everybody. In this clip, we're going to be talking about an issue that is um, currently going on in the United States, and it is the issue of net neutrality. But I want to give you a little bit of context first in regard to the Federal Communications Commission, also known as the FCC. I've mentioned the FCC in previous lectures. Want to remind you that this was a regulatory body that was enacted into law in 1934 as part of the Communication Act of 1934, and it is led by a five-member commission that is appointed by the President of the United States. There's no requirements about previous experience necessary in order to be appointed to the commission. Traditionally, how the commission is made up is if there is a Republican president in office, then there will be three members of the commission who are Republican and two members who are Democrat, with one of the three Republicans being the head of the commission, the chair. And then when there is a Democrat president in office, you'll have three Democrats on the commission with a Democrat chair and two Republicans. So at the recording of this video, the chairman of the FCC is Ajit Pai. Before he became a FCC commissioner, I believe he was actually appointed as one of the two minority Republican seats when the Obama administration was in the White House. He had once been a chief executive at Verizon. So he comes from the industry of which the FCC is supposed to regulate. Although Ajit Pai is a strongly anti-regulation or deregulation commissioner. And so over the last several years, Congress and also internet service providers and content creators have been at odds regarding net neutrality. And hopefully you took a look at the video I presented on the video clip list of John Oliver explaining what's at stake with net neutrality. He does a very good job of explaining why this should be something that consumers are aware of, and how consumers are vastly on the side of content creators such as Google and Facebook and Netflix. They want to keep the internet open and running at the same speed for everyone, whereas the internet service providers want, which are basically Verizon, AT&T, and Comcast, want to be able to charge companies different rates based on what company owns them. They want to be able to differentiate and give some companies preferential treatment, perhaps if their content is created by a parent company that the same cable provider is part of. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. Throughout I guess 2013, 2014, net neutrality was something that was hotly debated. Finally, in February 2015, the FCC ruled what they called the Open Internet Order. And they said in this ruling, the internet service providers are classified as utilities and therefore subject to FCC regulation and oversight. All right. In that order, that means that internet service providers must not block access to a site. So that means if you are Comcast, you cannot block access to competing content providers. So Comcast owns NBC, and if you have Comcast or Xfinity as cable, they can't block you from accessing the CBS app or the ABC app, and they cannot slow down the CBS or ABC, so you're more likely to watch NBC. They also cannot charge companies such as Netflix higher rates to have a fast delivery system for their content. If they charge higher rates, they would that higher rate would go then to the customer, and they cannot slow them down to make, for instance, Hulu more appealing because Comcast is owned by NBC and it owns a piece of Hulu. Netflix is a competitor, so they cannot make it easier for us to get Hulu at a higher speed. And as a means of degrading the competitor Netflix. All right, so that's what the FCC decided in 2015. What is a key aspect of this is they said that we are now at a place in this country where the internet is just as important to the people as electricity and heat. So gas and water. So electricity, gas, and water are utilities. Also, trash pickup is a utility. So you must make it reasonably available at a reasonable price to the average American. And they said that the internet should no longer be considered a luxury item. It is a necessity. It is a utility. All right. That happened in 2015. As of June of 2016, the U.S. Court of Appeals affirmed the FCC's assertion that the internet is a utility, is not a luxury, and therefore that FCC order should stand despite the cable companies going to court and trying to get that overturned. Now, things have changed now that we're in a new administration. The current FCC commission is vastly anti-regulatory. They want to take away regulations to make it easier for the cable companies to be able to charge more to content creators and ultimately to consumers. So as of September 2017, the first thing that has happened is AT&T has asked the U.S. Supreme Court to reverse the U.S. Court of Appeals verdict that the internet is a utility. No ruling has come yet as of yet. There's no word whether or not the Supreme Court is actually going to even hear that case. As of November of 2017, the new FCC that is Republican-led by Ajit Pai, he plans to roll back the Obama-era FCC reforms. So he wants to make, going back to this previous slide, he wants it to make it legal again for internet service providers to block access to a site, meaning that Comcast could say, no, I don't want Comcast customers to be able to see it, CBS on the internet because they're a competitor. They would make it legal to throttle. That means they would charge Netflix more to have a super fast connection. And if they charge Netflix more to run on Xfinity cable, then Netflix would have to turn around and raise their rates more. They could also purposefully slow down Netflix because they want their own streaming service, Hulu, to do better. Okay, that our current FCC wants that to be able to happen. And the vote to make those things legal is planned for December of this year, of December 2017. So that is net neutrality, but there's another aspect of, that is the utility aspect of net neutrality. Another aspect of net neutrality is big data. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the future. So hopefully you've taken a look at the short video explaining what big data is. And this is another way the internet service providers want to be able to make money. And they already are making money. Our content creators are doing this. Places like Facebook and Google are using our information and selling our information. And the internet service providers, the cable companies, want to be able to do that too. So what could that mean? In the United States, we operate under capitalism. So really it's about taking our personal data in order to sell things to us, all right? Going from targeted marketing to behavioral marketing, all right? So targeted marketing is advertisers are matching target marketing is matching advertisers with potential consumers with pretty good precision. So for instance, what that means is if I get on Google and I look up Um, let's say I want to get a new purse. If I look up Coach purses, all right? So I look at the Coach website, I've looked up purses. Now, for the next several days, when I get on Facebook or when I go other places on the internet, I might see ads for Coach bags, even if that's not the search that I'm doing. I might see sponsored content on my Facebook feed, or in the sidebar of other websites or banner ads of other websites. Now, behavioral targeting is more tricky. So what that means is they can look at the things that we say and do online that aren't directly related to looking for things to buy, and they can advertise to us based on just simple things that we say. So, for instance, an airline company wants to target people who might want to take a last minute trip. So if I'm on Facebook and in Messenger, even not on my regular feed, even in Messenger, if I were to type to my mom, "I miss you," I might then see an ad for last minute deals from American Airlines or from one of the ticket um, uh, uh, discount websites. So they're looking at our messages that we send to people and targeting us more directly. But it can even be more scary than that. And we'll close then with I want you to take a listen to the two audio videos that the two audio clips that I've provided at the end of our list about how companies track all of the things that we do online here in the United States. And then I want you to look at and listen to what is happening in China and what will be the norm by 2020 in China, and see how a country that doesn't have First Amendment protections of freedom of speech and also doesn't have expectations of privacy, how the internet could be used to rank you as a citizen, your trust score. That is currently underway in China, and as freedoms and liberties might erode in certain democracies, maybe even including the United States, that might be something that could happen to us in the future as well. And I hate to end the lecture on that ominous note, but it's important to know what the future could be like. All right, have a good week, everybody.